The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the 69th Bi-Monthly Breastfeeding Coalition's webinar. I'm Kinkini Banerjee, the Coalition's Relations Director at USBC, and I'm so glad to welcome you to this session.
Kinkini, we can't see your screen.
Oh. Sorry about that. This series is jointly hosted by CDC's Division of Nutrition, Physical Activity and Obesity and by the USBC. The webinars referred to as the 222 are held on the second Tuesdays of even-numbered months from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. And the purpose of this series is to bring together breastfeeding coalitions as well as our national member organizations to share best practices and news and to network and collaborate on issues of national significance. Coalition members and breastfeeding advocates from across the country can join us for these free webinars. Join the Coalition's Learning Connection to get all of our announcements. And a user account is required to join the Coalition Learning Connection, but it only takes a few seconds to set up. The topic and speaker details are also posted a week or two before each session on the page on the USBC public website. So you can also find the information on our public-facing page. To streamline access, the webinars have been set up as a series. So once you register for one session, you are set. You will receive reminders before each webinar with the topic and speaker details, and also get an email post-webinar with the link to where you can find the handouts and the recording. We understand that it's not possible to attend every session live in the midst of your busy workday, so there's easy access to all of our archived recordings. The webinar presentations and handouts and video of this and past sessions can be found on the Coalition's webinar page. Our operations manager, Denae Schmidt, has also posted the link in the chat box, and the link to the webinar page is also in the email that you receive, like I said. So here's how you do it. If you don't have the direct link to it, go to our website, which is www.usbreastfeeding.org, and you can see the tabs across the top. Go to the last one on the right, which says Coalitions. Click on that, and a drop-down menu will open. If you click on the CDC USBC bi-monthly webinars, it'll open up the page for today's webinar as well as the archives. So for today's session, all attendees are in listen-only mode, and we will have about 15 minutes for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So we encourage you to send your comments and questions throughout the session, and here's how you do it. On the right side of your screen, you should see your control panel. If you don't see it, it might be minimized, so click on the orange tab with the white arrow and it'll pop back out. If you scroll below the audio section, you'll see a tab for questions. Click on that blue tab and it'll open up a box for you to type in. During today's session, if you have audio or any other tech issues, please send an email to coalitions@usbreastfeeding.org, and our staff will do their best to help you. And that brings me to today's session, the ins and outs of USBC's collaboration platform. The USBC's website is much more than a regular website. It's an online platform that offers many benefits, including a wide range of mechanisms, tools, and resources that can be leveraged to assess the landscape of breastfeeding support and build capacity and momentum for transformative change. If you believe that every family who chooses to breastfeed should be surrounded by a landscape of breastfeeding support, then your energy, your voice, and your activism will find pathways on this platform to amplify your efforts. Whether you're a coalition member, a leader, a representative of a governmental agency, a national organization, a community-based organization, or someone interested in maternal child health, you can utilize this online collaborative platform to build strategic connections, to learn more about the happenings in the first food field and prime yourself and your organization for effective action. So I'll give you a little bit of an introduction to our collaboration platform. As you may know, USBC's efforts involve convening and supporting a network of more than 50 member and partner organizations and breastfeeding coalitions in states, territories, local communities, tribes, so that we can all work together on policy systems and environmental approaches. The USBC has been very strategic in finding synergies between our funding sources. The CDC is our main funder and supports the collaborative work we do. In 2012, we received funding from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation to deepen our partnership with state breastfeeding coalitions and to begin learning how to apply collective impact and racial equity principles in our work. Thanks to CDC, we were already providing training and network opportunities for our network with the 222 webinars, the regional listserv and networking calls, and as well as the conference. With the Kellogg Foundation funding, we designed and implemented a very comprehensive needs assessment of state breastfeeding coalitions that was carried out through 2013 and 2014. We looked at the existing structural models of coalitions, what their current partnerships are, the activities and impact along the sectors of the Surgeon General's call to action. And this was also combined with a very extensive review of literature to identify some core measures of effective coalition functioning. And this initiative exceeded its original scope and actually informed the learning and growth of the USBC itself. We were able to stretch the scope of each grant by leveraging and building on the work of the other. And this scaling allowed us caused the sum to far exceed the parts of each of the two work plans. So our work in collective impact and equity helped us better understand how we could provide backbone support without always assuming the role of principal players. The priorities and the gaps expressed to us so eloquently by breastfeeding coalitions, combined with virtual listening sessions and town halls with our entire network, gave us valuable input from the field and provided us the impetus to design a rich support infrastructure for USBC's network. This allows us to leverage our technology and create pathways to meaningfully engage with multi-sector stakeholders from the grassroots to treetops level. So today you'll learn how the many features of our platform can help us connect, learn, and act by bringing forward current and new voices and enriching connections and nurturing equitable spaces for those who do the work on the ground. I am delighted to introduce our presenters for today's session, my co-workers, Denae Schmidt and Sarah Walz. Denae Schmidt is the Member Relations and Operations Manager. Denae has been with the USBC since 2014, and in her previous role as the Coalition's Relations Coordinator, she provided technical assistance and training to our network of state, territorial, tribal coalitions on the USBC website as part of our larger learning collaborative. Denae assisted the coalitions, Denae assisted me with the design and implementation of training programs and resources for coalitions. And in her new role as Member Relations and Operations Manager, she brings this training to national organization as well as her deep skills in needs assessment design, website and data management, and performance process and outcome evaluation. So welcome, Denae. Sarah is a communications and program coordinator and has been with USBC also since 2014, July of 2014. Sarah has worn many hats and assumed several roles at USBC during her time here, beginning as an administrative and program assistant. And during this time, she has worked on a wide range of projects with the USBC, giving her a very broad base of organizational knowledge. She assisted with the website build out. She currently manages the website and has specialized knowledge on the many features and structure of the platform, as well as potential expansion and data utilization. Sarah is a go-to person when we want to know how to make the website work for our projects. She brings her strong writing skills and communication expertise to the team, with experience in storytelling, digital campaigns, and communication training. So I'm thrilled to present my two co-workers. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Denae.
Thank you, King Kenny, for those fabulous introductions. And thank you for providing that frame up for our audience on the collaboration platform. So if you just give me a second to get my screen for you guys. All right. It's really important to understand what the collaboration platform is and how it was developed. And so today, my colleague Sarah and I will focus on why you should engage with it. So the USBC website has both internal and external functions. Internally, it lets us know who is interfacing with us and what you all are interfacing with. Externally, we want three things to happen when you visit the website. We want you to learn about the happenings in the breastfeeding field and the broader public health infrastructure. We want you to connect with other breastfeeding advocates around the nation to build relationships and collaborative partnerships. And we want you to take action in your state, territorial, local, and tribal communities to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding families. So in today's webinar, Sarah and I are going to just walk through and showcase the different tools within the USBC website that will help you to stay engaged with us in these three ways. But first, we have some questions for you. We really want to know how often do you use the USBC website to learn about the happenings in the breastfeeding field? So Sarah, if you could launch the first poll, and we'll keep this open for about a minute. Please be honest. This helps us know what's going on. So right now we have about 50% of our audience engaged in the poll, and so we'll keep it open for about 20 more seconds. So if you have not answered the question, we'd love to know. Okay. I think you can go ahead and close it, Sarah. Okay, awesome. So is everyone seeing those poll results? Kenny, can you confirm?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Okay. So thank you for that feedback. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah so she can introduce our different learning channels.
Thanks, Denae. So yes, as Denae said, one of the sort of three ways to interact with the website is to learn. And if we even break down learning even a little bit more, there are three almost like types of information that we sort of have either hosted or created on our website. And we broke those down into be three learning channels. And Denae and I'll talk a little bit about each one, giving examples of what kind of things you can find that are in this type of channel. So the first one is things that are created by USBC. So that's pretty self-explanatory. It's things that we create in our organization and send out to the field. One of those is this webinar that you're either on right now or listening to the archive of. The other ones are things that are external. So we take things from the field or from racial equity work or from collective impact work, and we analyze them and sort of give them back to you, lifting up the important things for our either tenets of racial equity or collective impact, but mostly to talk about the breastfeeding field. And the third is sort of like the unique part of the website and why we sort of have this collaborative platform, which is that there is learning to be done from each other. And we know that we don't have all the answers to everything, and even the rest of the field doesn't have the answers. And it's only when we sort of come together and can collaboratively generate that even more unique learning can happen. So those are three different ways that we learn.
Thanks, Sarah. So the first avenue of learning I'm going to cover are the webinar and conference archives. So as you may know, we host 3 webinar series continuously throughout the year. Maybe you're looking for ideas to diversify funding for your coalition, or maybe you're looking for guidance on grant proposal writing, or maybe you want to better serve communities of color. Chances are we've probably hosted a webinar or a breakout session at the NBCC on the topic you're looking for. So the website is the place where we store all of our content archives. So if you ever miss a session, if you want to download past materials, or just want to re-listen to a recording, the website is the place to go for that information. We also have several publications and position statements on the USBC site. Our most recent is our guide to the rights of breastfeeding employees under federal and state law. We've also published an online guide for what you need to know about the break time for nursing mothers law. So these publications are housed on the website, and they're free for you to download and disseminate to the communities that you touch. Another USBC generated material that you can learn from are our public web pages. You can view our web pages to learn about us, who we are, what we do, and any upcoming events, such as the 2018 National Breastfeeding Coalition's convening. We also offer a wealth of information on existing breastfeeding legislation at the federal and the state level. So I'll turn it over to Sarah to give you more information on how you can learn through our analyses.
Yeah, so this slide, you might have noticed that Denae and I are passing back a little bit at the beginning. It's because through our work, we touch a lot of things, but there's also things that we specifically work on. So something that I work on is the weekly wire. So that's why this slide is sort of under my purview. So this, once again, so it's things that we take in and analyze from the field. And the one method that you might use to get this information is through email. Most of these come in as an email subscription, but we also host all of these archives on our website. So we have the full archive for the wire for years before I was even at USBC, as well as Breastfeeding in the News, which is sort of an aggregate that we don't provide and aggregate and collect as many examples of breastfeeding that happen either through traditional news sources like magazines or newspapers, as well as sort of non-traditional but becoming more traditional of blog posts, so things that are more, or podcasts, or things that are more sort of new media, as well as our recently launched policy update series. So this is where we at USBC kind of take in all of the information that's coming from us, any newsletters as we subscribe to, or other sort of big external sources, and we filter it down and we package it up and we analyze it for the field and send it back out to be sort of more digestible and more useful for you. And so while you can get the wire, and you probably do get the wire in your inbox every week, it also could be useful if you want to find out if you remember that something happened in the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition last week and you just want to sort of see what else they've been doing, you can just search Kansas in the wire archives and that'll pop up. So that is the different version of sort of the external material that we host on the platform.
Awesome, thanks, Sarah. So the website also provides collaborative channels for learning. These are tools that you all can use to share information with your fellow breastfeeding advocates. So you can use discussion forums in our online learning communities to ask fellow breastfeeding advocates questions. Each online learning community also has news and action opportunities forums where we disseminate information, including potential funding opportunities in the Coalition's Learning Connection. And users also have access to share news and action opportunities with fellow community members. So this is a great way to disseminate information that you might have come across that you would like to share with your peers. Coalition leaders may also want to share governance documents or project frameworks with other coalitions. And so we provide some sharing libraries on the website to allow you to do just that. USBC also has its own sharing library called the USBC Policy Documents Library that's free to access via the Coalition's Learning Connection. So you can go into the community, download these files, and utilize them to help your coalition. The second collaborative channel for learning is the Surgeon General's Call to Action Directory. This is an amazing tool that you can use to learn about the breastfeeding focused activities around the country. This information on the pages is generated from organizations that have group profiles within the website. Organizations will go ahead and enter their activity descriptions and any supporting links in their group profile, and then this information is automatically populated into the directory. So I'd really love to show you what that looks like. So this is our web page for Action 14, which is workplace support, and each action page has the implementation strategies listed on there. So if you're not familiar with them, you can familiarize yourself with those implementation strategies. We also provide resources for you all to look at and learn from. And then as you scroll down, you'll be able to see what are the national, state, and local activities going on around the nation under the specific action. So you can also get in contact with these organizations if you're looking to learn more about them. They also provide supporting links. So this is a great way to learn about what's going on across the country under specific activities. So now we'd really love to know, we have two more questions for you. We'd love to know, which learning channel do you currently use for information within the USBC platform? So Sarah, if you could launch that second poll and just go ahead and let us know what you're currently using. And we'll give you about a minute to go ahead and vote.
Just as a sort of like formative note, this is a poll where you can select all the channels that apply. So if you use more than one, we are happy to know about that too.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, right now we have about half of our audience engaged in the poll. We'll give you just a few more seconds to let us know which channels you are currently using for information. All right, I think we can go ahead and close the poll. Awesome. So we can see that a little over half of you are using USBC generated materials. So our web pages, our conference and webinar archives. About 30% haven't used any of these. So that's good for us to know. And about 38% are using USBC's analysis from the field. Awesome, awesome. And 17% using the collaborative tools. Great, thanks so much for letting us know that. We do have another question for you. We'd like to know, which learning channel would you like to explore more? So Sarah, if you could go ahead and launch that, thank you. And let us know which of these, or if all of these, you're interested in using more. Great, we have about half of our audience participating in the poll. We'll keep it open just a few more seconds. All right, awesome. Great. So it looks like 60% of you are interested in more of the collaboration tools. That's great to hear. 47% wanting to use more of USBC generated material, 43% using the Surgeon General's call to action directory, perfect, and 38% using USBC analysis from the field. Awesome, thank you so much for that feedback. All right, so the next section that we'll jump into is connection, how to connect using the USBC website. So the virtual collaborative platform is the avenue by which we connect with you, and it also serves to bridge the distance between you and other breastfeeding advocates around the nation to build relationships and collaborative partnerships. There are really two main ways to connect on the website. It's as an individual and or as an organization. So we have another question for you. What types of connections are you interested in making via the online platform? So Sarah, if you could launch that next poll and let us know, who are you looking to connect with using the website? And this is another one where you can select multiple. And if you are selecting other, we'd love to see you chat those other connections in the chat box. Okay, we'll keep it open for about 10 more seconds. All right, I think we can close it and view those results. Great, and so it looks like 78% of our audience wants to connect with other coalitions, 71% with national orgs, 61% connecting with other individuals, and 5% other. And some of those others I see are grant sources. Sarah, do you see any other ones that have been chatted?
Just grant sources.
Okay, perfect. That's great for us to know. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is connecting as an individual on the website. So connecting as an individual requires an individual profile in the site. Anyone can request a profile, and it takes literally just a minute to create. If you haven't created a profile, Sarah's going to chat the link to you in the chat box for you to do that and go ahead and set that up. We do encourage you to personalize your account. Add a picture, your social media handles, if you have your own website, blog, the list is endless. And once you have that profile set up, join one or more of our 20+ topical online communities. These serve a dual purpose as a learning tool and a connection tool. So join the ones that are of greatest interest to you to connect with other advocates who are interested or working under these topic areas. You can share resources and build relationships that can grow into partnerships. If you've set up an individual profile, or if you're considering setting up a profile, and we hope that you do, we've linked a tutorial on the webinar webpage for you to watch, which shows you how to manage that profile and the subscriptions within it and how to connect with others. So please feel free to watch that video and pass it along to other coalition members or organizational members that you may know. So now Sarah's going to go into how to connect on the organizational level.
Thanks, Denae. So I'm going to chat out once again. So anyone can request a group profile on the website. You may have already, if you are involved in a state coalition, you may have noticed that when we were first building out the website, we created profiles for all the state coalitions, but we are looking also to have local, tribal, cultural, community, any form of breastfeeding coalition. We would love to have your group profile also on the website. Similar to the individual profile, they have more than one purpose. And I will be the first to admit, if you already have a group profile, you may have looked at it and just been like, there are 1,000 fields here and I don't feel like filling them out. I would maybe convince you otherwise. And let me just explaining sort of the background behind it is that we are using the profiles to kind of feed into and build out several different things. One is just simply capacity building systems. There are sort of fields in the profile where you can indicate different engagement levels for the wide range of topics in the breastfeeding field. And we have actually maxed out the number of things we can ask you in the group profile because we just want to know so many different topics and how your coalition is interested in them. And by asking you this and having you respond, we're able to then sort of pull in on the back end and sort of weave together connections between either groups that are extremely interested in childcare or extremely interested in donor milk, and we can pull in everyone into the same place and easily find everyone. In a similar way, it also feeds into the action directory, which Denae talked a little bit about the learning aspect of it, but to also look at it as the connection, it isn't just a place where you can come and sort of learn about what's happening in the field. It's also a place where you can connect, and because of that contact information that's listed on there, if you are thinking about building a workplace breastfeeding award program in your community, you might want to go there to the workplace page and find different local or state coalitions that have already done that, and you can reach out to them and make a connection and figure out best practices for that, making it easier for everyone to work in the field because we're all pretty stretched, pretty thin. Similarly, the other organizational connection piece that we have on our website is the coalitions directory, which feeds basically straight from the group profile, the way that it was built, which makes it, the more profiles that we have on the website, the more comprehensive a list it is of basically every breastfeeding coalition in the country, which I think is really cool to have that comprehensive list hosted somewhere. That includes not only the state coalitions, but also every range from there on, broken down by state once it's out of the state coalitions list. So it's a great way to not only connect, it's also just a great way to sort of raise the public profile of maybe your local or your community or your cultural or even your state coalition. So all of those things sort of feed from the group profile, which is why, even though it's kind of a hefty task, and we're here to help out with that as well. And that's why it's so important to sort of fill out those fields to give us the information, but also to give each other the information and fully connect the field together. Similarly to the individual profile, Denae has also recorded a 10-minute tutorial on this and managing it and sort of getting it all worked out, which she has also posted on the coalition's, this coalition's webinar page.
Great. So time for another poll question. Sarah, if you could launch that next question. We want to know if you're currently using your individual or group profile to connect with others around the nation. So go ahead and vote, and we'll keep this open for about a minute. Okay, we have about half of our audience engaged in the poll. We'll keep it open for about 20 more seconds. So if you have not voted, please make sure you get that in. Okay, I think we can close it. All right, so it looks like 59% of you have a group profile and you wish you knew more about it. So that is very helpful to us. We see 23% of you have one, but you're not interested in maybe using it to connect at this time. 14% of you are using it occasionally, and 5% yes. So the 59% of you who are very interested in knowing more about how to connect, that excites me, and that will help us, and that informs us of how we need to direct some training for you all. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah as she jumps into how to act using the USBC platform.
Yeah, so this is sort of our third bucket of, why come to the platform. And it's kind of the simplest, which is that this is a place to take action for breastfeeding families, which is kind of why we're all in this field in a way. So when you go to the next slide, we sort of have, or wait, are we polling or, sorry. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, our first sort of just like tester question for this is just to ask, how often do you participate in our action alerts? And you will not hurt my feelings if you say not at all, I promise.
So this poll is open. Go ahead and put in your vote. Okay, we'll keep it open for about 15 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close it.
Okay, so yeah, like a third breakdown of occasionally, seldom, and not at all, which I don't know if any of you were on our Power Tools webinar where we talked about our policy toolkit, but that also like very much tracks across the field, which is great. So if we could go back to our slides. So the way to sort of break down coming to the USBC platform to act in a similar way of like the way that we broke down sort of the learning channels, or the way that we broke down connection into individual and organizational, we can also break down sort of like action into two different ways, which are to do it the new school way of taking action online, or the old school and maybe more effective way of taking our tools and advocating offline. So one example of offline action is our advocacy toolkit, like I mentioned from our Power Tools webinar. And so the way it's sort of like offline action on our online platform is kind of a tongue twister and a little bit of a logic puzzle. So what I mean by that is sort of like our policy toolkit is hosted on a landing page, if you want to click into that, on our website. And so you can go there, download the toolkit, print it out, take it with you, go to advocacy appointments, or use it as education for other sort of advocates around you. We also have USBC resources listed there as well. So it's sort of a place in the website where you can find tools for off the website. Other things like this include, we have sort of fact sheets that we've used at advocacy events that we've made public as well, that are state by state as well as topic specific. I think last year in November we had three, like one for maternity care practices, one for health plan coverage of lactation support supplies and counseling, and one for coverage of workplace accommodations. Great. And then if we go back into the slides, you'll see that the other form is the more online action. So that comes in a couple different ways. One is the way that we talked about already, which was our action alerts, which are the tools that you can use to contact policymakers. The other is, you know, not exactly directly taking action, but sharing your story with us. As you can see, we collect stories on many different topics, from like, how did father do, to how, tell us about your experience with health plan coverage, to talk to us about just like how your hospital or birth center supported breastfeeding, all ranges of it. And the reason why we sort of have this wide range is hearing voices from the field really helps us, first of all, kind of center our actions on actual humans, as well as being able to take those stories and tell them to policymakers or legislative assistants who haven't maybe had this lived experience. Maybe they knew one person one time that tried to breastfeed. So instead, we can be like, here are 5 different stories from either within your constituency, across the nation, talking to you about how breastfeeding support is so key and important for breastfeeding families in our country. Other sort of online action tools that include, besides, like I mentioned, our action alerts, which are where you go in and you can send emails and contact your policymakers that way, as well as our WeTweet tool, which isn't technically on our website, but I would include it in sort of our full collaborative platform, which is a place where you can sort of click to tweet to your governor and your congressperson and your senators.
Okay, so we have another poll question for you. We'd love to know, how often do you use our resources to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding in your state and community? So we'll go ahead and launch that. We have about half of the audience that have participated in the poll, and we'll keep it open for about 20 more seconds. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and close that and share the results. So it looks like about, oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, we just can't all do the same thing. Occasionally is good. That is, after the action alerts poll, that's actually really nice. And yeah, like we sort of have talked about on this webinar, like our resources can be so broad beyond just sort of actions.
Okay, we have another poll, and that question is, did you know that these resources were available? We'd love to know if you knew.
You will not hurt my feelings if you tell me that you can't find them on the website. I promise.
All right, we'll keep it open for about 15 more seconds to allow a few of you to go ahead and get that vote in. Okay.
I would also interpret these results as 100% of you are interested in using the resources available on the website, which is great. And I am really pleased, actually, that the 11% of you that couldn't find them on the website, my contact info is at the end of this webinar, so please let me know. We can walk through how to find things, because I know it's not organized well, super well, which actually leads us kind of into our next slide, I'm realizing.
So Sarah, did you want to inform everyone of our plans for updates?
Yeah, can we go back to the slides? I think, yeah, great. So similarly to this webinar of using the website to learn, connect, and act, We have learned and we have connected with you, and we are ready to act. So we have heard the feedback from anyone that might be on this webinar, from our members, from our coalitions, from our partners, from our stakeholders. We've heard it, that the website is big and it is confusing and it is not well organized. And I concur. As you might have figured out though, from the last sort of 45 minutes, there's a lot going on there. Like it was built with like a lot going on the back end. There's a lot going on the front end. There's a lot going on in the middle. There's a lot going on. So we want to be able to update it while also sort of keeping all of these really, I think, really useful features and making it even easier to use them. And I think the guiding principle during the process has actually been sort of what we've talked about just now, which is to simplify everything so that when you come to the website, you can do the single purpose you came there to do, whether you came there to learn, or you came there to connect, or you came there to act, and kind of not try to get lost. No one came to the website to get lost. You came to do something. And so we want to make it easy to do that. So we're going to, the first thing I think that we're going to do is update the navigation based on feedback that we've heard from you, making it easier to find things, as well as, once again, to sort of, you can come, you can do the thing that you came there to do. And we really ask that you continue to use the platform while we make these updates and while we continue to learn about it. Because it's really true that like your participation in the platform, which I'm sort of using synonymously with website, but I kind of use platform to sort of encapsulate and capture that it's not just a bunch of web pages, it's all of sort of the things like the group profile and the action directory and the learning communities, which are more of like a space and a platform to be used, not just to come to. So we hope that you continue to use it while we're making these updates, that you kind of have a little bit of patience as we sort of have a little bit of dust as we move things around, because your participation in it helps us learn in our updating. So we will be learning and connecting and acting as well. And I think we have our final poll is to just gauge and ask for a little bit of help with this. So if you would be willing to provide feedback after the website redesign, please let us know.
See, about half of you have gone ahead and voted, so we'll keep it open for just a few more seconds. Okay. So great. It looks like 69% of you would be willing to engage with the website after the redesign and let us know how it's working for you. This will help us help you. So we appreciate that.
Definitely. Thank you.
And so this slide is just our contact information. If you have any questions about the website, or if you're engaging in it and can't seem to figure out how do I engage with the individuals, how do I engage specifically with those organizations, you can email us and we'll be happy to help you and walk you through anything that you need. The recording of this webinar will also be up in our webinar archives, and we also have those 2 tutorial videos accessible for you all. So with that, we will open it up for questions.
Terrific. Great. Thank you, Denae and Sarah, for giving us that concise and clear overview to the many possibilities for our virtual connecting. So let us look for, we do have some questions here. Okay, so we do have questions about, there should be a choice between occasionally and all the time, because while I use them on a regular basis, right. Right. Okay. Good point, Anne. She says.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
We'll incorporate for our future polls, and also probably that's good to know for our feedback surveys when we're working with the website.
Yeah. And Nancy says that while she has an individual profile, she's not sure that she uses it that much to connect with others. And so either Sarah, Denae, could you give some examples of how you might kind of scroll through that to find someone else by topic, or how you can use once you have a profile to have others find you and you find others?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. I'm actually going to just pause my screen for a second and jump into the website just to show you guys how you can do that. So if you're looking first to connect with a specific individual that you just can't seem to find within the website, there's a lovely search bar here where you can actually find an organization or a specific user. So if I was hoping to connect with Kinkini, I'd go ahead and type in her first name or her full name, whichever works best, and she'd pop up right here. I could go and look at her page and see all of her information, see her email address. If I'm trying to get in contact with her, I could do that. Another way to connect is to join a learning community. And so the quick way to do that is to come under our News and Info tab, click on Learning Communities, and then select which learning community you would be interested in joining. We have over 20 of them, so join the one that is of greatest interest to you. And I'll go ahead and chat this link out to you so that you can go ahead and explore those. So if I was interested, for example, in connecting more with community-based organization leaders or folks that are working under maternity care practices, I just come into the learning community. I can subscribe to any of these forums. This is for discussion, for collaborative ideas. And these forums, you don't have to actually be in the website to interact within the forums. You can click on them if you are in there, but you'll see here that there's an actual email address that each of these have. And so you can add these to your address book in Outlook or Gmail or whichever host you have for your email, and connect with people that way. So joining the learning communities is the biggest way you can connect with other folks who are interested in topic areas that you may be working under. And you'll also see here there are action opportunities that we post, news items, etc. So I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Denae.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there are some questions about, there's a question about if you have a group profile or coalition profile, how do we edit that? Who gets to edit that? And then also, so let's take that one first.
Sure. So first, there is a group profile tutorial on the web page. I'm going to chat out the link one more time that will walk you through how to actually interact with that. There's also, sorry, what was the second part of that question, Kinkini?
How to edit it, and in terms of coalition group profile, who might be able to, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so typically organizational leaders will request the group profile, and they are initially the only individuals who have access to that profile. However, they can indicate individuals and assign group administrators who are able to access and update. So it's your coalition leader's responsibility to either A, assign those group admins, or B, contact coalitions at usbreastfeeding.org or myself, and I can walk them through how to assign those. So I do offer training for group admins, or you can watch the tutorial, but coalition leaders are responsible for assigning those group administrators.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then one question on a timeline for the redesign from Norma.
Yeah, so Sarah, do you want to take that one?
I don't have a full answer. I mean, I think my ideal answer, I guess, would be to work through it in the next 6 or so months, and that's not how math works. To work through it in the next 4 or so months, launching around National Breastfeeding Month and our coalition's convening in August. But as with all projects, timelines are, you know, I would hope that it would be done in that time. It is something that we really want to prioritize because it is sort of like a really great tool, and kind of shining it up and shoring it up and shining it up is definitely a priority for us.
Right.
But we also want to do it right. So, you know,
right.
giving it more time than just a couple months.
That makes sense. It's an iterative process. It'll continue, and we will together build this robust network to catalyze collaboration. So your input will be asked throughout this process too, in different ways. There were a couple of questions about funding and grant that maybe I can answer. So these are about, so 2 questions about how do I find out about funding sources or grant. So there we have, if you visit our Power Tool series of webinars, we've done a couple on grant seeking. So we had someone from Foundation Center come and do that. So that is a really good place that you can find out. You also, as part of our capacity building assistance to all of our breastfeeding advocates and coalition members and leaders, we have complimentary membership to Foundation Center as well as Board Source. So that again is on the Coalition Learning Connection page. So click on that. If you go to the Foundation Center, you will find a whole bunch of different, you can screen if you're in the DC area, Maryland area, what are some of the foundations or open grant opportunities that you have. So that's a very useful session as well. You can use the search to find the Foundation Center webinar. We also can connect you. We have some resources that we'll be posting on the CLC. I think there's a Robert Woods Johnson Foundation funding opportunity that just came to our inbox that we will be sharing with our network. But check out the Learning Connection, the Breastfeeding Discussion Forum, because often when we come across anything, we post it and float some ideas yourself. If you have any questions, float it to the larger community and you'll get answers. So anyone who's written to me personally, you know that you're getting an email from me, but these are some ways in which you can also find resources on our website to help you with your search for funding opportunities.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. I'm actually showing the Coalition's Learning Connection here. To navigate to that, if you go to Coalitions at the top of menu bar and select the 4th option down is Coalition's Learning Connection. So again, you have to have an individual profile in order to get into this section of the website. But you can join the community. There should be a button that says join the community, and that will automatically subscribe you to our announcement forum, so you'll never miss any important announcements from USBC, but also it will subscribe you to the news items and action opportunities. So whenever we do post to this forum, you'll receive it automatically via email. And then also we have a ton of coalition benefits access links. We have membership with Board Source that you all have access to, nonprofit risk management center membership. And then here's that USBC policy library I mentioned earlier. And then you can email us if you are interested in using the Foundation Center database. So we do provide that information. So go ahead and join that community if you haven't yet. I'll also chat the link out. Again, you do have to have an individual profile in order to get into that section.
Awesome. Thank you, Denae. And if you want to move to that last slide, I'll spend a minute on and the announcement, USBC. So we've spent the last hour speaking about our virtual platform and all of the collaboration that we can do virtually. And the annual National Breastfeeding Coalition's convening a conference is really a very vital part of our collaborative work with our stakeholders in the first food field. And it rounds up all of the virtual learning and connecting that has happened throughout the year. The annual conference is our one and only in-person gathering in the year for the larger group. A lot of special topic areas meet more often, but in terms of having the entire stakeholders of our USBC membership and partners come together. And this is really a great forum to learn about policy systems and environmental changes. So it's not something where you come to learn about clinical skills in breastfeeding, but this is about how do you combine, build strategic priorities that also lend to financial sustainability. So you learn about sustainability, you learn about how each of us as individuals and organizations and coalitions can be advancing health equity. What kind of leadership skills do we need for a new era? How do we how do we integrate breastfeeding into other aspects of public health work that we do? How do we, build those innovative partnerships, connections with our community? How do we become better partners with our community in building breastfeeding friendly communities? So our membership meeting is on for our 8th National Breastfeeding convening is from August 3rd to 5th. The membership meeting is on Friday, August 3rd, and we hope that coalitions will also be able to come for that. The evening on Friday will be the regional meetings, but the conference is all day Saturday and half day Sunday, and it's a hybrid. We'll have some whole group learning, having really good speakers on coalition sustainability. How do you build a financial stable coalition to advance your mission? How do you scale your impact? How do you do community engagement? And there'll also be some peer sharing as well. So watch out for an email that's coming out, as well as the call for proposals that'll be coming out within a week. Like we said, it'll be different from conferences where you have these many simultaneous tracks happening with panel speakers, a little limited on, but there'll be lots of opportunities for peer sharing through our breakfast table topics, posters, breakout sessions, and we'll also have some very fun side events like the open mic, a social media mixer, Twitter chat, and maybe even a movie night. So stay tuned for more info, and we look forward to seeing you in Atlanta. This year, it's for the first time ever, we are moving the conference and membership meeting, and we will be meeting in Atlanta. Next slide, please. So as we've learned today, learn, connect, and act. This slide gives you all the different ways in which you can learn, connect, as well as act. And so, again, on behalf of the USBC staff team, thank you to Sarah and Denae, and thank you to all of you for the vital roles you're playing in transforming the landscape of breastfeeding throughout our country and improving the lives of women, children, and families. The work we do is all about partnerships, coordination, and collaboration. And we hope very much that this session will spur ideas for collaborative action. Please complete the webinar evaluation and let us know how we are doing. We do read them, your suggestions are valued, and your ideas help us design future webinar sessions that are most relevant to you. And for those who complete the eval, you also get a certificate of attendance when you complete that. So we hope we'll be hearing your feedback. And so thanks, everybody, and goodbye for now. I look forward to having you for our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.